Shiny new Renault Group CEO Francois Provost made his first Formula One paddock appearance in Monza a few days ago, and almost immediately made a statement about Renault having no intention to sell the Alpine F1 team. Which leads me to ask the question, does the Alpine protest too much? Kia ora, I'm Kimmy, I talk F1 in the world's second worst accent, and apparently this idea that Flavio Briatore was brought in to prepare Renault for sale is all a load of bollocks. Look, skepticism aside, when you look into the numbers, it really doesn't make sense for Renault to kind of hold on to their Formula One operations unless they truly believe that selling up would send some kind of signal to the world that the group is in deep doo-doo and they're offloading all their riskier assets. The Alpine sports car brand itself took 8 years after the release of the A110 to push a second model out into the world. They still only have 3 total in their brochure, and where I'm from, just like with the Renault Megane E-Tech, which we still don't have in this part of the world, none of these 3 models are even on the market. I think you can get the A390 in Australia, but as for the 290 and the 110, nah. What we do get down here is a hell of a lot of Nissans because, well, we're a big fan of Japanese and other East Asian car manufacturers. I myself own a Subaru. Biz has a Toyota. They're cheap, they're reliable, and you don't have to pay through the nose for parts. Nissan, or for you Americans out there, Nissan, however, is part of Renault's problem. You see, back in the late 90s, Renault formed an alliance with Nissan, which later expanded to include Mitsubishi Motors in 2016. And this alliance isn't as simple as your standard auto manufacturer merger agreements where one huge brand owns a bunch of smaller and luxury ones that keep their own identity but are fundamentally owned by Big Auto. The Renault-Nissan-Mitsubishi alliance is more complex than that, and it involves a cross-shareholding agreement that effectively means each company owns shares in the other 2 and vice versa. It's a partnership structure that you probably kind of have to draw with like a Venn diagram. Now, over time, the way the power balance sits within this alliance has changed and shifted, but the fact remains that each of these 3 companies have commercial interests in the other 2, and this means that when one of those independent entities struggles, it affects the others. Nissan has been struggling for a wee while now, and in the first half of 2025, Renault posted an €11.5 billion loss, 9.3 billion of which was a write-down on the investment in Nissan. Now, a write-down is a bit different to a write-off, effectively what Renault did. Rather than dumping shares and putting the whole alliance at risk, they revalued them to better reflect Nissan's financial state, which can then be posted on their balance sheet as a loss. Then in July, just over a month after Luca De Meo's departure as CEO, Renault issued a profit warning to investors, which resulted in a peak dip in share value of 18%. Now, I know this is all kind of boring financial stuff, but unfortunately it is all background information that adds context to why Francois Provost felt the need to emphasise Renault's commitment to retaining the Alpine F1 team. And I think it's pretty clear that he and the team were hoping that his appearance in the paddock, along with the announcement of Pierre Gasly's contract extension, which goes through to the end of 2028, well, that would send signals that they were not just saying meaningless words that they intend to backtrack on the moment someone comes in with a really enticing offer. But then you look at the other side of things, with the shutting down of Renault's F1 engine project and what feels like a never-ending increasing number of celebrity investors, you can't help but feel like this statement was partially intended to create more confidence in the perception of both Alpine's internal stability as well as their financial status. Then you also have to look at Alpine F1's new managing director, also attending his first Grand Prix weekend now that his gardening leave from the FIA is done and dusted. Steve Nelson has a long and storied history of working for many teams, as well as Formula One itself and the FIA, mostly in sporting director roles. He's worked for Toro Rosso, Williams, Tyrrell, but most significantly was part of Flavio Briatore's inner management circle for a very long time and was involved in Benetton's transition to Renault back in the early 2000s and subsequently to Lotus in 2011. There are now 2 people in the top leadership positions at Alpine who have a whole lot of experience in wheeling and dealing in F1 and know how to transition a team from one majority owner to another. And side note, if you are interested in hearing about the bonkers life of Flavio Briatore, then I have a video about that up in the corner and also linked down below. I would love it if you would go and watch that one. I put a whole lot of effort into it and it totally flopped. Alpine also has had the least in-season car development of any team in 2025, choosing instead to put almost all of their focus on the new regulation set. And if they get it right, combined with a Mercedes engine that is expected to be a pretty solid performer come 2026, I think it's not silly to say that they seem to be focused on getting the value of that team as high as possible early in the new regulation set. And if you're out there shouting to the rooftops every weekend that you're not for sale, then hey, maybe someone might be prepared to come in and put an offer on the table that you really just are going to struggle to turn down. No, it probably won't be the £3.5 billion that McLaren was recently valued at, but a couple of billion for an outfit that's been not the most consistently profitable would be a hard thing to turn your nose up at, right? And with Alpine looking like it's going to quite comfortably finish last come the end of 2025, chances are the inconsistent profit that the team's experienced over the years will be back in the red and probably result in at least a little bit of sponsorship revenue loss, as well as taking the smallest slice of the prize money cake. Alpine is absolutely putting all of their chips on the 2026 table, and that's got to mean something. And that's not even discussing the fact that rather than focus on a sports car and performance vehicle only consumer brand, Alpine has instead opted with its two recent models to go down the kind of small hatchback and EV crossover route. And they just keep talking about coming out with new sporty models and not actually doing it. So all of that doesn't exactly scream F1 audience target market. Anyway, I'd love to hear about your opinions on whether or not you think Renault holding on to Alpine is a long-term thing, or if you think they're working towards making themselves an appealing option for the likes of Hi-Tech or Rodin, or honestly, more likely, Geely. Chat about it down in the comments. Thanks as always to my patrons. You guys are absolutely awesome. And also thanks to Marion and The Rocks, who sent me super thanks for my last video. Absolutely incredible. Talk about a cool thing to wake up to. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this video so you have a better chance of YouTube showing you whatever I put out next. Next week, I'm hoping to do a Q&A on Tuesday, so if you have any questions for me, then please do click the link to the Google form down in the description and pop in something to do with F1, or if you've got questions other than that, then that's fine too. I'll just pick and choose some more F1 related ones. They'll be prioritised. I'll also post that link in my community tab. Ka kite. I'll catch you next time. Are we focusing? There we go. There we go. Hello? Just blink really big, right? That's all you have to do. You just blink really big.